all the way down.
50 feet.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Alright, so this is the 1845 Benton's lead line. Again, this was only ever lead mining, but because we're in a mining museum, I will talk about both lead and zinc mining. Now, Lorenzo Bevins moved here to Plattville in about 1836. Originally, he was a lawyer, he was a defense attorney, a bankruptcy lawyer, but oddly enough, he himself ended up filing for bankruptcy. Don't really need to do that, but luckily for him, this was during a time that lead was in high demand.
Yeah.
It's really that gray gold that they were looking for.
Yeah.
And Bevins wanted to get in on that. So he was like, hey, John Roundtree, the founder of Plattville, do you have any land that you can lease me? Roundtree's like, yeah, sure. So Bevins and one other guy started digging around, and then it wasn't until July of 1845 that they found a pretty significant vein of galena that they started expanding upon, opening up a mine. Then by 1846, Bevins was able to hire between 15 and 20 guys to work down here for him, and they ended up extracting about 2 million pounds of galena, which had about 20 cents a piece back, 20 cents a pound back then. Made Bevins a pretty rich guy. So he actually felt comfortable enough to sell the mine. We still don't know who he sold the mine to, but we do know that this mine stayed in operation until about 1857. So from that time to about 1972, this whole mine was kind of not forgotten about. They knew exactly, they knew it existed, they just didn't know exactly where it was.
Oh, yeah.
And so so the mining museum was looking to open a mine for touring. So they're like, hey, we know the Bevins mine exists, we just don't know exactly where it is. Mining and engineering students over in Plattville, can you help us out? They're like, yeah, sure. So they came over here and started digging holes, and they stuck a camera down one of those holes and took some pictures, and they're like, hey, we found all the waste rock. This has got to be the Bevins mine. So they started clearing most of it out, putting these display pieces down here. And by 1976, this was open for touring. So we've been giving tours down here for about 50 years.
Yeah.
Are there any questions before I start talking about lead mining?
No, go ahead.
You two here weren't here at the beginning of the tour, so you missed my receptaculades discussion. Not sure if you've heard of receptaculades or the sunflower coral. It's actually an extinct form of algae. So this whole area that we're in right now used to be a shallow marine environment about 450 million years ago. So that was one of the things in this area.
Oh, yeah.
This is that, at least the side of it. And then above that is the flow stone forming stalactites. I know not as impressive as, Cave of the Mountains, but it will be in about 10,000 years or so.
Yeah.
And we got even more above us. Over here we have Miner Joe. He's dressed as it would have been when this mine was originally in operation. You notice that he doesn't really have any protective gear on him.
Nope.
Just typical work clothes. And then a cloth capped him more so keep his head dry down here. That he would coat in some sort of animal fat or wax or oil. Tools that miners like him would be using are a pickaxe, a sledgehammer, and then something called a gad, which is just a little pry bar to get the galena out of the bedrock. And then candle light would be the only source of light that they'd have down in the mine during this time. So they typically have about 3 to 4 candles per miner. They place the candle in this thing called a stick and tawny. Place that either in the bedrock or they could put it on the cap. Over here is a more accurate depiction of how this mine would have looked when it was being worked in. You see they have a whole lot of waste rock, which explains why they found all the waste rock down here when they rediscovered it. So the miners would kind of want to bring some order to all that waste rock, and to do that they do a process called gobwalling, which is basically where they stack rocks on top of other rocks to create a path in and out of the mine, but also give support to the mine ceiling. Later on, they started using wooden pillars like these that they could either put from ground to ceiling, or if there was a pretty stable bit of gobwalling, they could also put the wooden pillar on top of that gobwalling and then go up to the ceiling. But we no longer have to worry about any of that for structural support down here because we have these things called roof bolts. We have 2 types of roof bolts that are actually used down here. We have the resin roof bolt. Now you said you work construction, right? You know
Yes.
about roof bolts?
Yes.
Okay. So,
I've never seen them to that extent, though. Them are pretty thick.
oh yeah, so again, drill a hole about 6 feet, right?
Yeah.
Into the bedrock.
Yes.
And this is going to be kept in place by resin. But you're probably more used to the tension
Yes.
roof bolts, which were actually patented by James J. Scott, who at one point was a graduate here from Plattville. He actually went on to UW-Madison to get his doctorate.
Oh, wow.
He actually ended up dying in 1997.
That's cool.
Not that, but
Well,
not him dying. No, it sucks that he's not here anymore to talk to him about it, but it's pretty cool that he had 40 publications or patents to his name. He was a pretty busy guy. He's in the Mining Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
But yeah, tension-based roof bolt, basically. Again, stick a pole about 6 feet into the bedrock, but instead of resin keeping it in place, it's kind of got barbs on the outside of it that flare out into the bedrock, and that's how that keeps the bedrock stabilized.
It's limestone, correct?
Yep.
Yeah,
As I said, it's dolomite limestone or dolostone. So it's limestone with magnesium in it. So it's actually a pretty soft rock. Pretty reactive to water. So it's pretty easy to just drill into it. But yeah, we have about 10 times as many roof bolts down here as we actually need. It was pretty much a project of the or what would become UW Plattville students to come down here and put in roof bolts.
Yeah, hammer drilling's no fun. Takes a lot.